You know how the tech news cycle spins faster than, I don't know, a TikTok trend? One minute it's all VR this, next it's metaverse that.
Uh-huh. Constant churn.
Well, amidst all that digital dust, a real-world story kind of caught our eye, Tesla. They just hit a pretty major milestone over in Germany.
Right. The Berlin Gigafactory.
Exactly. But, hold on to your charging cables because there's like a twist in this electric tale.
Uh-huh.
We've sifted through the recent buzz trying to get to the juicy bits.
Yeah, the stuff that makes you actually think, not just react.
So today we're doing a deep dive into Tesla's German, well, triumph, I guess, and the surprisingly bumpy road that seems to have followed right after.
It's a good way to put it, because the reports, they really paint a picture that's way more complex than just those celebratory headlines.
Right.
It's a story of, like, impressive engineering hitting these unpredictable currents in the global car market.
So our mission today is kind of navigating those currents. See what it all means for the bigger EV picture.
Precisely. Let's try and figure it out.
Okay, let's plug into the good news first then. Tesla's Gigafactory, Berlin-Brandenburg. Still sounds like a techno band name to me.
Yeah, it does a bit.
Anyway, it's officially produced its 500,000th car. 500,000 EVs rolling out of one factory.
And that's just 2 years after it opened, right? March 2022.
Yeah, 2 years. They even put up a picture on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. Gleaming white Model Y looked like it just won a beauty pageant, surrounded by the workers.
Who probably deserved a pretty massive pizza party after that, I'd imagine.
You think so?
But it's undeniably a testament to their ramp-up capabilities, and it represents a huge investment in Europe.
Huge how? Like, what are we talking?
We're talking about a $4 billion commitment. That's roughly AU $6.9 billion, give or take. It's serious cash.
Wow. Okay. That's not small change. And the idea was for it to be their main European hub, right?
Exactly. But to give a little perspective on scale, let's quickly look at their Shanghai plant.
Ah, the big one.
Yeah, that place is well, it's got double the annual production capacity target compared to Berlin's current goal.
Global. Right.
And Shanghai's already turned out over 3 million vehicles since it opened back in 2019. That's where Australian Teslas come from, actually.
3 million. Right. So Berlin hitting 500,000 is great, but Shanghai's on a whole other level.
Yeah.
Shows what's possible, I guess.
It really does. And it highlights the different stages. Berlin's still kind of the new kid on the block, relatively speaking. Shanghai's had more time to optimize everything.
Makes sense. So what is coming off that Berlin line right now?
It's primarily the Tesla Model Y SUV, that and, crucially, the electric car batteries themselves.
Ah, the vertical integration thing, making the batteries on site.
Exactly. That's a pretty significant advantage, having that control over the core component.
And the Model Y itself, I mean, that car is just everywhere, isn't it? It's like the default EV choice for so many.
Well, it has been the global best-selling electric car for the last 3 years running.
3 years. And still topping the charts in Australia in 2024, last I checked.
Mm-hmm. So focusing production on that model in Berlin, it makes a lot of sense if you want to hit those big volume numbers relatively quickly. It's their rock star product.
Right. Feed the demand. Did Musk say anything about hitting full speed?
Yeah, back at the opening, Elon Musk mentioned it was always going to be a multi-year thing to reach full-scale production. It doesn't just happen overnight.
No, I suppose not, especially with a 4 billion factory.
And the longer-term plan includes adding the Model 3 sedan to the Berlin production line as well.
Okay, so more models coming eventually. That'll boost output too.
Definitely. Though, interestingly, Tesla's own Q4 report for 2024 pegged Berlin's capacity at around 375,000 vehicles for that year.
So the 500,000 target is annual, but they maybe did 375K last year. Still a big chunk of their global production. What was the total?
Global total was about 1.7 million Teslas produced in 2024, according to that report. So Berlin's a significant piece, yeah.
It really is. And you zoom out, you've got Germany, China, plus Texas, California, Nevada in the U.S. It's like this global manufacturing network.
A proper global footprint. They're playing the long game, positioning themselves in key markets.
You got to admire the ambition, even if you still struggle to say Gigafactory Berlin-Brandenburg smoothly.
Hey. True. But it's worth remembering that getting the German plant running wasn't exactly smooth sailing either.
Right, there were delays. I seem to remember something about that.
Oh, yeah. Big delays. Navigating the German legal permit system took longer than expected. Anyone who's dealt with bureaucracy knows that feeling.
Tell me about it.
And maybe more significantly, there were environmental protests, too. Concerns raised about water usage, mainly. local resources.
Yeah, okay. So hitting this 500,000 mark, it wasn't just flicking a switch. They overcame some real hurdles,
Definitely adds context to the achievement. Perseverance was key.
which makes the champagne popping maybe a little louder,
Yeah.
but hold the phone.
Uh-oh. Here comes the twist.
Here comes the hairpin turn. Because while they're celebrating this production number, the sales numbers for Tesla, like recently in 2025, they look like they've hit a massive speed bump.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. The data we've seen shows some really dramatic deceleration, like in Germany itself.
Or the factory is.
Where they were the top-selling EV brand just last year, 2024. Sales in January 2025 down 60%. 60?
Ouch. Okay, maybe a blip.
Well, then February happened. Get this. Down 76% year-on-year in Germany.
76? Okay, that's not a blip. That's like falling off a cliff.
It's a serious nosedive. From market leader to, well, way down the list. Very quickly.
Is it just Germany or?
Nope, not just a German thing. Over in China, another absolutely crucial market for them. February sales saw a year-on-year drop too, over 46%.
Nearly halved.
Yeah. And closer to home for some listeners, Australia, February sales plummeted by 72%. 72, apparently their lowest monthly figure there in 2 years.
Man, that's rough. You almost feel bad for the sales team staring at those figures.
These aren't just minor market wobbles, you know? These are pretty significant shifts we're seeing across key global markets happening concurrently.
So, what gives? How do you square that circle? Producing cars like crazy in Germany, hitting milestones, but then sales tanking there and in China and Australia.
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe the 4 billion euro question. What is causing this disconnect between the production success story in Berlin and this apparent, pretty sudden softening of demand? It's a bit of a puzzle.
And just to throw another ingredient into this automotive lasagna,
Yeah.
there's other stuff happening in the background too, right? Industry-wide things.
Well, yeah. For example, the U.S. is planning to bring in some new import tariffs effective April 3rd, 2025.
How does that affect Tesla's German production?
Directly. Maybe not much, since those cars are mainly for Europe. But indirectly, it adds pressure to the whole global auto market. It's going to potentially make things harder for European, Japanese, South Korean manufacturers selling into the U.S.
Okay, so it just adds to the general feeling of uncertainty or change in the air for the whole industry.
Precisely. It's part of the broader context. So you have this really clear achievement, 500,000 cars from Berlin, solid number. But it's happening at the exact same time as these, frankly, quite concerning sales trends pop up.
Yeah.
So the key thing we're trying to unpack is, what does it all mean? What does hitting this production number signify for Tesla when demand in some really important places seems to be, well, falling off quite sharply?
It's kind of like throwing a huge party, caterers booked, band ready, but suddenly worrying if anyone's actually going to show up, isn't it?
That's one way to look at it, yeah. The production line is humming, the cars are ready, but are the buyers still lining up like they were?
It really makes you wonder, is this just a temporary market correction? A bit of a breather after years of insane growth?
Could be. Maybe the early adopters are all satisfied now, and the next wave of buyers is proving harder to convince, or maybe they have more choices.
Or is it something more fundamental? Like, is the competition finally catching up? We know there are tons more EV models out there now than a few years ago.
That's definitely a factor. The EV playing field is much more crowded. Legacy automakers are getting serious, new players are emerging. Tesla doesn't have the spotlight quite to itself anymore.
Plus, maybe wider economic worries, people tightening their belts. Big purchases like cars are often the first thing to get delayed.
All plausible contributing factors. It's likely a mix of these things rather than one single cause. Complex interplay.
So we're left with this fascinating picture, right? Big production win in Germany, set against sliding sales in key places. It really makes you, our listener, think about what's really going on, doesn't it?
Beyond the headlines.
Is this just a temporary blip for Tesla? A minor detour on their electric superhighway? Or could it be, a sign of a bigger shift, a signal that the whole EV landscape is evolving faster than maybe even they expected?
It's definitely something to watch. Keep an eye on those future sales figures, quarter by quarter. See if this trend continues or reverses. And listen to what the industry analysts are saying.
Yeah. This feels like a story that's far from over. A chapter with plenty more pages still to be written, especially in this fast-moving tech news world.
Absolutely. The EV transition, it's still very much unfolding. We're bound to see more twists, more turns, more surprises along the way.
Well, hopefully this deep dive has given everyone listening a bit more context, something to chew on beyond just the milestone number or the scary sales drops.
Yeah, hopefully spark some curiosity about what comes next for Tesla and really for the whole electric vehicle market globally. It's certainly keeping us on our toes.